Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, I want to share the first of three big ideas: happiness. It is a word that everybody knows, but do we really understand it? Some people believe happiness comes from money or fame, while others say it is found in health or love. But happiness is often much simpler than we imagine. Sometimes it hides in small details of daily life, waiting for us to notice it. Many of us spend years chasing happiness in the future. We think, I will be happy when I graduate, when I get a better job, when I travel, when I buy my dream house. But happiness delayed is often happiness denied. While we are waiting, life is already moving, and small moments of joy are passing by. Real happiness is often not at the finish line, but hidden inside the steps we take along the way. Emma was a young university student preparing for final exams. Her desk was crowded with books, notes, and empty coffee cups. She had studied since morning, and now her eyes were tired, her hands shaking from too much caffeine. Inside her mind, one thought repeated again and again: what if I fail? What if I am not good enough? The more she tried to study, the less she felt she was learning. The silence of her room felt heavy, almost painful. Her head was full of noise, and the pressure in her chest grew stronger with every hour. She wanted to cry but didn't. She simply turned the same page again and again, hoping something would stay in her mind. At that exact moment, her roommate entered the room. She quietly placed a small piece of chocolate on Emma's notebook and whispered, "Take a break. You deserve it." Emma looked at the chocolate and for a second did not move. It was nothing extraordinary, just a simple square of sweetness. But somehow the gesture touched her deeply. She laughed softly for the first time that day and whispered to herself, "Maybe I can do this after all." The exams were still waiting, but something had changed inside her. Her heart felt lighter. A small act of kindness had created a moment of real happiness. Think about your own life. Have you ever had a day like Emma's? A day filled with stress and doubt, when everything felt too heavy. But then one small gesture, a smile, a message, a cup of tea, gave you new energy? Happiness does not always remove problems, but it gives us light in the middle of darkness. And often, that little light is exactly what we need to continue walking forward. Think about your own life. Have you ever had a day like Emma's? A day filled with stress and doubt, when everything felt too heavy. But then one small gesture, a smile, a message, a cup of tea, gave you new energy? Happiness does not always remove problems, but it gives us light in the middle of darkness. And often, that little light is exactly what we need to continue walking forward. From his pocket, he pulled a small bag of breadcrumbs and threw them gently on the ground. Soon, birds gathered around him, fluttering their wings, hopping near his feet, and singing their short but sweet songs. He loved this simple routine. The sound of wings, the trust of small creatures, and the feeling of connection gave him peace. For a man living alone, these mornings were a source of real joy and comfort. One Sunday, his granddaughter Sophie joined him. She was 6 years old, full of energy and laughter, curious about everything. Together they sat on the old bench, and when the birds came closer, Sophie's eyes grew wide with excitement. She laughed and held his hand tightly, saying with wonder, "Grandpa, they trust you." Her voice was full of surprise, as if she had discovered a secret world where people and animals shared a silent friendship. Mr. Harris smiled and answered softly, "Maybe because I come every day. They know I care." At that moment, he felt a deep happiness, not from money, not from recognition, but from love and connection. It was pure and simple. For him, happiness was not in the past, not in the future, but right there in that moment, in his granddaughter's laughter, in the wings of the birds, and in the warm hand he was holding. What do Emma and Mr. Harris show us? They remind us that happiness does not need to be huge or perfect. It can hide in a piece of chocolate, in birds gathering in a park, or in the small hand of a child. The problem is not that happiness is missing. The problem is that we often forget to notice it. We are so busy looking for big achievements that we ignore the simple, beautiful moments happening right in front of us. We often wait for big events, a new job, a holiday, or a dream house. But while we wait, Life keeps moving, and happiness is already around us. The secret is not to wait for happiness, but to open our eyes and hearts to see it in daily life. If we stop waiting and start noticing, we will realize that many of the things we dream of are already present in our everyday moments. So let me ask you, what small thing made you smile this week? Did you stop to enjoy it, or did you run past it, thinking about something else? Happiness is often quiet. It waits patiently for us to pay attention. Once we do, it grows and spreads inside us. It is like a candle, small at first, but when you notice it and protect it, it shines brighter and brighter, filling the room with warmth and light. Happiness is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of kindness, gratitude, and love, even during difficult times. When we see this truth, every day becomes brighter, and we realize happiness was never far away. It was here all along, in our daily lives, in our relationships, in the details we sometimes ignore. All we need is to slow down, look closer, and open our hearts to see it clearly. Time is one of the most mysterious things in life. We cannot see it, touch it, or stop it, yet it shapes everything we do. It moves forward like a quiet river, carrying us with it whether we are ready or not. Clocks and calendars help us count the hours, but they cannot give us control. Once a moment is gone, it never returns. Sometimes time feels slow, like when we wait for a bus or sit in a boring class. Other times it feels fast, like when we laugh with friends or enjoy a holiday. A week of fun can disappear like a dream, while a single painful hour can feel endless. And yet, every person on this planet receives the same 24 hours each day. The real question is not how much time we have, but how we use it. Some people treat time as if it is unlimited and say, "I'll do it later." Others rush so much that they forget to enjoy the moment. The truth is, time is limited, but it is also full of possibility. The past is memory, the future is hope, but the present is all we truly own. David was a university student who often told himself, "I'll study tomorrow." After classes, he usually watched series, scrolled through his phone, or went out for coffee with friends. He always believed there was still plenty of time. But suddenly the exam week arrived, and his books were still closed on his desk. He spent long nights trying to catch up, his eyes heavy, his mind racing. He felt regret with every page. Why didn't I start earlier? The stress was heavy, and no amount of coffee could change the fact that lost hours never return. He managed to pass, but the result was weaker than he hoped. The lesson was clear. Time wasted cannot be bought back. Mr. Carter was not a bad man. He worked hard to provide for his family, often staying late at the office. "I'll play with my daughter on the weekend," he told himself. But weekends always filled with new tasks, and his promise was pushed forward again and again. Time slipped quietly through his hands. The next morning he made a small change. Instead of leaving early, he sat with his daughter and ate breakfast with her. She smiled, surprised and happy. Later that week, they finally went to the park together. It wasn't a big event, but in those small moments he felt a kind of peace he hadn't felt in years. Time with family was not wasted, it was priceless. So what do David and Mr. Carter teach us? That time is not something to throw away or postpone. Wasted time brings regret, and ignored time creates distance from the people we love. But when we respect time, even small moments become meaningful. A few minutes of focus, a short breakfast, or a walk in the park can make life richer. Let's talk about the third big idea, change. Change is something that happens to all of us. Sometimes it comes slowly, like the seasons turning from summer to autumn. Sometimes it comes suddenly, like a phone call or a message that changes everything in a moment. We cannot stop change, but we can choose how we react to it. Many people are afraid of change. They prefer the comfort of what they already know, even if it does not make them happy. Change feels like a risk, like stepping into the dark without knowing what is waiting. But the truth is, without change, life becomes still. No new lessons, no new people, no growth. Think for a moment about your own life. Have you ever started something new, maybe a class, a job, or a friendship? At first, it probably felt strange or even scary. But later, you discovered something good. Change often begins with fear but ends with learning. It shows us that we are stronger and braver than we thought. Change is not always easy, but it is always part of life. The past cannot stay the same, and the future will not wait. What we can do is accept that change is a teacher. It pushes us out of our comfort zone and helps us grow in ways we never expected. Sometimes the things we fear most become the moments we are most thankful for later. Mia was 16 when her family moved to a new city. On the first day at her new school, she felt lost. The hallways were noisy, groups of friends were laughing, and everyone seemed to know where to go. Mia stood alone with her backpack, wishing she could return to her old school where things felt safe. The first weeks were not easy. At lunch, she often sat by herself, pretending to check her phone so she didn't look lonely. At night, she texted her old friends, saying how much she missed them. She thought, why did this have to happen? I don't belong here. Maybe I never will. Change felt more like punishment than opportunity. One afternoon, a girl from her class smiled at her and said, "Do you want to join our group project?" It was a simple question, but it opened a door. For the first time, Mia felt someone noticed her. They worked together after school, and slowly, step by step, she began to feel a little less invisible. Weeks turned into months, and Mia found herself laughing with new friends. She discovered new cafes, new parks, and even joined the school music club. Her new life did not erase the old one, but it added something fresh. What once felt scary began to feel exciting. The city that was strange slowly became familiar, almost like home. Looking back, Mia realized that moving had been hard, but it also gave her strength. She had learned that she could survive change and even grow from it. Without moving, she would not have met the friends who later became so important. Change was not her enemy. It was a teacher in disguise, pushing her to grow. Have you ever experienced something like Mia? Maybe starting at a new school, moving to another place, or meeting new people? At first it feels heavy, but then you discover new sides of yourself. Change can be uncomfortable, but it often carries hidden gifts. The challenge is to stay open long enough to see them. Daniel had worked in the same shop for almost 10 years. He knew the products, the customers, and every routine by heart. Life felt stable, but also a little boring. Then one morning, the manager announced that the shop would close. Just like that, Daniel was without a job. He felt shocked, lost, and unsure what to do next. For weeks he stayed home, sending out a few job applications, but feeling no hope. He told himself, "I'm not good with computers, I can only work in a shop." The days felt heavy, and he avoided talking to friends because he didn't want to admit he was struggling. Change had arrived, but he only saw it as failure. One day, a friend suggested a free computer course at the community center. Daniel was nervous but decided to try. At first, even turning on the computer felt stressful, but slowly, lesson by lesson, he began to learn. He typed faster, used email, and even learned to make simple documents. Each step gave him new confidence. After 3 months, Daniel finished the course. Soon he found a job in a small office. The first weeks were difficult, but he pushed through. Day by day, he grew more comfortable. He even discovered he liked helping coworkers with their questions. To his surprise, he enjoyed this new life more than the shop. Looking back, Daniel realized that losing his job had felt like the end, but it was really a beginning. The change forced him to grow and discover skills he never thought he had. Without that painful moment, he might have stayed stuck in the same place forever. Change had opened a door he didn't know existed. Maybe you have faced something similar. Losing a job, failing an exam, or ending a relationship feels terrible at first, but later, you may see that it pushed you towards something new. Change is often disguised as loss, but many times it is the very thing that helps us move forward in life. So what do Mia and Daniel teach us? That change is not always easy, but it is always part of life. At first it may feel heavy, confusing, or even unfair, but later, when we look back, we often see that change helped us grow, meet new people, and discover new strength inside ourselves. Change is like the wind. We cannot stop it, and we cannot control where it comes from, but we can choose how we react. We can fight against it and feel tired, or we can open our sails and let it carry us forward. Every change, even the ones we fear, carries a chance to grow. Think about your own life. What change are you facing right now? Maybe it is big, maybe small. Instead of fearing it, try to see what it might teach you. Change is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new chapter, and every chapter has a chance to surprise us in ways we don't expect. So the next time life pushes you out of your comfort zone, remember, it may feel scary now, but it may also be the moment you will thank later. Change is not an enemy. It is a teacher, a door, and sometimes even a gift. Stay open, stay curious, and let change guide you toward your next step. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope this talk gave you new ideas and a little motivation for your own life. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want to keep improving your English and hear more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you never miss the next episode. Remember, every day is a chance to learn something new. Stay positive, stay curious, and I'll see you soon.